Hello, and welcome to Soda Review Channel, where today we'll be talking about Sprite Zero Sugar. Sprite is that classic lemon lime beverage, made, of course, by the lovely people over at the Coca-Cola Company. So, effectively, it's got lemon, it's got lime, it's got citrus of all kinds. Yeah, not much more to say on the flavor. Sprite was, the name was introduced by a Houston, Texas-based bottler in somewhere in the late 1950s. Coca-Cola Company bought up the name to it over in West Germany, as was the name of the country at the time, as it was split in two post the Second World War. Watch my Fantasy Zero Sugar video to get my opinions on the Second World War. So, basically, a distributor in West Germany created a lemon lime drink and sold it under the Fanta branding as an actually drinkable beverage under the Fanta branding in Germany. They brought it over to the US in 1961, gave it the Sprite branding, and all was well in the world. 1974, they came out with Sprite No Sugar. 1983, renamed that to Diet Sprite to align with other diet beverages like Diet Right and Diet Coke, which I don't think was a thing quite yet. But 2002 got rebranded to the Zero naming, so Sprite Zero. I just noticed on the back, it actually still has Sprite Zero listed on it. There's no way you're able to see that from there, and I'm not getting up. But yeah, it says Sprite Zero on here still, but in 2019, the brand overall and pretty much every zero drink in the Coca-Cola catalog was renamed to blank Zero Sugar, so we got Sprite Zero Sugar. Sprite, of course, famous for having zero caffeine. This one is sweetened with aspartame and ACE-K, the last two ingredients listed here. Lots of citric acid, natural flavors, all the stuff a growing human needs. I love Sprite. I always have. It's a delicious soda, and I quite love it. Sometime a few years ago, they did change from using colored bottles for some of their drinks to using clear bottles like this for all of them. I assume because the dyes were harmful in some way or just to give it a more natural look. Yeah, it doesn't look any different than it always has, as in the liquid itself, but I don't know. I think without that green tinge, it's kind of missing something. Yeah, no artificial dyes listed. 100% natural flavors. Considering that, at least in the US, the Coca-Cola Company flavors everything with the most toxic sounding chemicals ever that are perfectly safe. Don't get me wrong, it's just funny to make fun of. That scares me where they're getting those natural flavors. Because I'm pretty sure this has no juice in it, right? Yeah, there's no juice in here. Come on, you trying to pull a fast one on me, Coca-Cola? Oh, that looks so cool. The bubbles just rising through it. I don't drink too many perfectly clear sodas, and I very rarely get them in a glass. Like, nowhere has Sprite Zero at the fountain unless it's a freestyle machine, and I'm not saying it again. I'm not describing it again in relation to a bird's body part. So I'm just gonna take a sniff. There's nothing like that smell. There's nothing in the world like the smell of a Sprite. It doesn't smell like lemon lime. It smells. I don't know how to describe it except for it smells like Sprite. It smells good. It smells really good. I've said before, I think Coca Cola has some strong scenting agents in some of their sodas just to give you that feeling. A decent part of the sensation of taste is the smell, of course. It would be silly of them not to. That's perfectly common in any kind of foodstuffs. But Sprite doesn't smell strong. Sprite just smells like Sprite. Love that smell. Very distinct from the full sugar variant, from what I recall. At the tail end, it just has that snapshot of pure sweetness. Not with the aftertaste of stevia, of course. There's no stevia in this. I really hope they don't ruin it. I do know that in some countries they have already replaced some portion of the sweeteners and especially sugar and full sugar drinks with stevia, and I just don't want that here. Like, so a lot of places have implemented rules and regulations about how much sugar can be in a serving of a drink or a snack. And I do wholeheartedly support this. Just pumping food full of sugar is not healthy. But some companies have reformulated their drinks to use some portion of other sweeteners, quite often stevia, so they can market it as natural. And this just completely changes the flavor of it. I personally would prefer a full sugar Sprite that was in a smaller container, even for the same price, than an adulterated product like that. And I think a lot of people feel at least somewhat similar. I see a lot of sodas as a treat kind of thing, or at least more in that realm than a thing that I need this much of. Like, I do drink Diet Coke as my primary source of caffeine, but I could just as easily switch to coffee if I needed something else for my caffeine fix. If it were just about the caffeine, that's what I would do. I like some coffees. I like making coffee. I was a barista for a while. So yeah, I like coffee. But I drink Diet Coke for its caffeine because I like Diet Coke. And I drink Sprite not because it's like hydrating or something, but because it's Sprite. So I guess what I'm saying is give us smaller bottles instead of a worse product. But I enjoy this. It's got the Sprite taste on the front. But I'm not sure about that sweetness on the back. You ever hear of McDonald's Sprite? I've read a few different dissertations on it, seen some videos discussing it. Effectively, McDonald's kind of uses a slightly higher concentration of syrup in their sodas to be counterbalanced by the ice, and it kind of gives the Sprite a bit more zing to it. I don't know how true that is. I haven't done lab analysis on McDonald's Sprite yet. Now I really want to, but I really like McDonald's Sprite. It is really like a specific thing. But there's some sodas that I do just prefer the full sugar version for. They're not common. For example, I love my delicious tab flavored Diet Coke so much more than the full sugar. Tab. Oh, sorry. But for Sprite, I think it needs the punch from the real sugar. And yes, high fructose corn syrup is real sugar. It's just not cane sugar, which tastes better, in my opinion, and in many people's opinions. Nutritionally, pretty much the same exact thing. It's just high fructose corn syrup is sweeter, so you can pump more into something for the same price, or even less of a price. We like sugar, us humans. Sorry, that sounds insane, but yeah, people like sugar. If you put more sugar in something, people will like it more, but you can make a better product without strangling people with sweetness. Use a little less sugar and balance it with other flavors. This isn't just like a direct call out of the Coca-Cola company. I do quite enjoy a lot of Coca-Cola products, even if I disagree with them on a lot of decisions and political decisions. But I don't know, I'm just getting my opinion out there. I'd rather a smaller Sprite with no stevia than a big can of Sprite with all of the stevia. Some drinks taste better with full sugar versions. This doesn't even have like that little bit of spice to it that Sprite normally has. It's just like a little bit lemony and sweet. Overall, I gotta give it a bad. And now, I really want to go get a McDonald's Sprite.